Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You have spent with us 8.5 months listening to achievements in our schools. You met with principals, with teachers, counselors. You saw activities and kids and parents. In other words, you have seen people in the forefront. Tonight, it's my pleasure to welcome Paul Schultz, the Director of Physical Plant and one of the unknown soldiers, the people who are behind the scene, doing everything that makes success possible and makes our work productive. But they are not known to people. And it's tonight, it's a chance to recognize the effort you're doing and to enlighten our community about your vision and what you are planning for the next year. Mr. Paul Schultz, you're welcome on Education Exchange tonight.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here, Hani.
I will begin by, let us first tell the audience what exactly do we mean by physical plant?
The physical plant is, if you think of support services, we, behind the scenes, keep the school buildings and grounds operating. We do snow removal. We make sure that materials get from one building to another. The air conditioning, heating systems, electrical systems keep operating so that the students and staff have a comfortable place to good learning environment.
And I think one of the your tasks, it's not only the winter part, but the summer too. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of work during the summer.
We have we do a lot of project work as soon as the students and staff leave the buildings. Our physical plant maintenance group goes into the buildings and does remodeling and repairs and painting and just all those things that are very difficult to do when students and staff are in the buildings.
And you have been working together with the architects and people mm-hmm. who built the new schools. Because I remember the first time, Paul, we met, you and I, was when you visited the land that was selected for Tate High School. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the year you started service, service in the district.
I've been here 8 years. Right. And in that time, we've built 5 schools and probably a dozen additions to schools. And so that's another aspect of what physical plant does is to help from inception through design and completion of those projects as well. Our staff is involved during the design process. We work with the architects and engineers to we meet with them regularly to make sure that the type of things that are going into our school buildings are quality products and items that we use regularly, so that we don't have to continually stock a whole bunch of different types of items. We try to get some consistency through the buildings, and they're involved a lot with that part of the design. And then once it's bid out and construction starts, the contractors come in. My role is basically to go attend the construction project meetings and act as an owner's representative for any issues that come up that needs decisions made by the school.
So can you take me through a trip? And now let us see a project of building a new school. Mm-hmm. How does it proceed? From the approval from the moment you get the green light from the superintendent to move on,
Mm-hmm.
and until the school opens for kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Once a decision's been made that we're going to buy a school or build a school, and we've already purchased some land, I start meeting with the architects and engineers, and as well as some of the administration, to formulate what we want to see in a school for that particular use, whether it's junior high or elementary schools. And we have a plot of land, and we try to fit it to the design of that building to that plot, so that there's adequate parking, play areas for the different, as an example, the elementary schools. We want to make sure we have play areas for the different age groups. Then as we go through the conceptual stage of design of what a building's going to look like and what cost opinions are, then as the board approves those plans, then we move to the next phase of more the nuts and bolts, where the architects and engineers will meet less with the top administrators and more with some teacher groups, end users of the building, along with physical plant staff from the more mechanics of the building. And then as that design gets towards the end, it goes in front of the board a number of times for continual approval, make sure we're still on budget, and then it goes out for bid, public bidding. We advertise for bids. And once that happens, then we get the cost back, and the board then approves the project if it's within budget, and then it's time to start construction. And it kind of shifts to a different stage when contractors start coming in, and then I take off that hat that I was wearing and put on a owner's rep hat. And that's when we start making progress through construction. And as with any project, you're going to have things that come up that are unforeseen, and that's where my role is to be involved in those type of things, so we can make decisions on, do we go left, do we go right, how do we move forward. And then I also work with, when we get pay applications, to review those and then make sure that the amount of work that they've done and what they're asking for in pay and so forth is in line. And then I send that on down to the administration with, if it's got my approval, and then they review it and approve it. But that process just continues through the monthly through the job, and we meet usually twice a month at the construction site and review things. As it gets towards the completion of the project, that's when it really starts. You'll see a lot of people scrambling around to get done on time, and
Right.
if you walk into a building with 2 weeks to go, you'd say, there's no way. But it's an interesting process, and it all comes together, and it's a real pleasure to be from the beginning to the end and see what was envisioned at first becomes reality. And then you know you've got a nice product that will be a great educational environment.
And sorry, one of the very successful programs that you implemented was the life cycling program. Can you explain to our audience
Sure.
what's a life cycling?
Life cycling, if you think about painting the Golden Gate Bridge, you start at one end, they paint across to the other end, and they go back and start over. Well, equipment, vehicles, just about anything, roofs, building envelopes, they all have a life cycle. And we have enough, about 1.8 million square feet and we have 50-some vehicles, and it can get as simple as lunch tables. You can put anything into a life cycle category and budget every year so that you have money. So lunch tables, for example, you don't buy them all at once. You buy some every year. They last 15 years as far as warranty goes, and so at the end of that warranty period, you want to think about replacing those. So how many tables do you have? How much do they cost? How long do they last? Simple math formula, you need to spend this much a year, every year, and continue down the track. And we do that. We had one life cycle program when I came here, and I was so impressed with how it worked. One of our design professionals has been managing and working with the district on the roofing for probably 30 years. And they budget a certain amount every year. We work with them on, some of it goes towards replacement, some of it goes towards fix and repair, some of it goes towards extending the life of the roofs, maybe putting a coating on them. And when they started that program, roofs lasted maybe 15 years, and now we're getting upwards of 25 to 30 years life out of our roof just by managing it properly. And I saw how that program worked, and we worked internally with our staff to, we do it with vehicles, we do it with lunch tables, we do it with, we've created a building envelope for the bricks, the windows, the doors, all the exterior parts of the building, because you can either let it go and then you've got a big bill at the end, the pay me now, pay me later, or you can look at all of your buildings and put a set amount each year towards that to try to maintain and upkeep your buildings.
Thank you very much for that. Now tell me about the staff that you have, because I see here, for instance, that you have 3 master level electricians and 2 master level plumbers, 3 master level heating and air conditioning technicians, as well as 8 maintenance workers. For somebody like me, who's really, I would describe myself as ignorant about what you're doing, you know. Is that, you think, is enough? To me, it looks like they are not enough, but well, who am I to judge, you know?
That's always a difficult question as to where you put your funding sources towards, and the emphasis, you know, obviously is in the classroom. And in 1996, when they built Wickham, the number of staff that you see on that paper is the same number of staff that we have today. So 1996 to 2012, we have not increased staff at all. But yet we have a lot more buildings, a lot more square footage, and in actuality, with the technology changes, the heating and air conditioning systems, the electrical systems, the computer systems, that all takes, it's so much more than it was in an older building. Our guys tend to spend more time in the newer or moderately newer buildings than they do the older buildings, because there's less type of systems, less complex equipment in them. And so, yeah, we're stretched very thin. If you took the square footage of what we had and the number of staff per square foot, and you look at it today, we should have between 5 and 6 more people. But that staffing per square foot back in 1996 is not what is used as a norm anymore in the industry. As you can imagine, you have to do more with less, you have to be more efficient. But by the same token, there's better equipment that allows you to do more quickly. And so if you use the equations from, say, American Schools and Universities magazine, they put out square foot per custodian or square foot per maintenance worker. we need 2 or 3 more people just to, because the standards are different now of what they use. But yeah, we are so blessed with a great group there that have educated themselves to the master level. And the electricians can work on fire alarm systems. They're NICET certified. They're there because they want to be there. They want to work in a environment that it's challenging, but yet they have a comfort level that I'll have a job tomorrow, I'll have a job the next day, and they really care about the buildings, the students, and the staff.
And definitely you had to deal with a lot of problems when it came to parents with kids who live in old schools, and then you read letters to the editor about lead paints or lead-based paints, and about asbestos and all this. Can you talk to our audience about that? Give them reassurance that you are keeping up with all the threats to the health and safety of their young kids.
Sure. We in the last in 2010, the lead standards changed for lead in school buildings, and thus the state changed how they manage it, and we had to get our staff educated, and they all went to training classes to become lead safe renovators is what you call it, and so there's certain steps and guidelines that we follow. We also proactively went out to all of our elementary schools, because the lead-based items and issues are by law. It's a child 6 years and under is where you really have to focus your efforts. And so we had all the rooms tested for lead, and it's not just the wall paint. It can be in the varnish. It can, it can be in a lot of different things. And so we had all those rooms tested clear across the district, and we have books made up of where lead is in what rooms and in what materials, so that we know when we go into those areas we have to do lead-safe practices. As far as asbestos goes, we also work with a design professional in that area as well to manage our asbestos program as well as our lead program. And we wanted to make sure that our records were in very good shape. And we brought in an outside company, and went through all of our schools and re-evaluated every space and rewrote all of our books, so that we have a very good set of records right now. I was talking with a gentleman from the state here a while back, and he stopped in and was looking at some of our records, and we were discussing asbestos, and and this was just a couple of months ago, and he said that our records were as good of records as he's ever seen in the school district. So we're very proud of where we're at with that and staying on top of that. Our program's come a long way just in the last couple of years.
Well, I mean, we have known each other for some time now, and you know that I have a medical background, and I wish one day our schools will enjoy or become a pioneer in dealing with the problem of radon and detection of radon, and try to deal with it as soon as possible in the soil, especially in Iowa here. I know this will cost a lot of money, but I hope, and we are here on TV, that somebody will come forward and say, well, here's a check, and That's for the safety of our kids, because I know that you are working with a tight budget and you have priorities. But the radon became a major problem now when it comes to breathing air, and so because it's a radioactive material that's in the soil of Iowa, and a lot of the new constructions are doing that. I have no idea if there are any schools that had detection mechanism for the radon or not, but I hope this will happen in the future, sir.
Yeah. We have records dating back to when radon was first coming to the forefront back in the late 80s, and they did test through all the schools, and
you have already tested?
Those were tested back
that's good. That's
in the
good
90s.
To know.
And there was actually only one room in one school that really stood out, and they have made several changes to the heating and air conditioning systems in those to bring more ventilation and fresh air in there, but it was a very odd situation because all the rooms that they tested were fine except for this one room, and that room was central to the building. They went back and retested it the next year prior to all the air conditioning and heating renovations, and it tested normal. So out of the 580 tests that they took across the district, I think we had a test that failed, and then when it got retested, the room was within tolerances. What we don't do is annually test every room in the district because of costs. We do test every 2 years all the daycare areas and pre-kindergarten areas, and have those records on hand.
Yeah, great to hear that. One of the other things that I would like you, sir, to address is we are approaching. As a matter of fact, I heard from the board president that there is a possibility of a new high school and maybe 2 elementary schools in Iowa City, one on the north side, and this, of course, will add more efforts to your load already. And how do you envision the future of our district?
Well, you know, as we've built these buildings, and we've built quite a few just, you know, in the last few years, as you go through that process, you learn every time, and the technology gets better and better. And these newer buildings that we're putting out, this most recent one is just phenomenal on how it, like the radon. Well, that whole building has. We had an envelope consultant through the whole process to make sure that our buildings were sealed tightly all the way around, but yet we bring in fresh air from mechanical systems. And as we grow, I would certainly, we've made about all the efficiencies that we feel like we can.
The geothermal
We build our schools to the LEED design. We don't go out for that plaque on the wall. We have the first LEED school in Iowa, but we design to those standards, and I would hope that as we continue to grow, and we're fortunate to be a growing district, one of the few in Iowa, that our staff can grow with that to be able to support those, because quite frankly, if you don't have enough staff to support your buildings, they are not going to be taken care of as well as they could.
And do you get enough feedback from parents? Do you get sometimes?
You know, not a lot. You know, you'll get the occasional question here and there about, you know, whether there's.
Have you ever received a thank you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's important.
We have. Our staff went into Wickham a couple of years ago, and in a special needs area, we built a bathroom in that area for them over the summer. And the teacher that taught in that class sent us a picture of the class. They were all sitting around and put it on a construction paper, and they all signed their name to it and thanked us for building them a restroom. And I've still got that on my bulletin board in my office.
Because I have the sign now that I have 1 minute,
Okay.
and I want to thank you. But before that, tell me quickly about this project. I heard that you met with Will Hollander at the alternative school, and you are going to start something vocational. Can you quickly address that?
I will quickly address it. With the decision to, at City High, to move the auto program and the welding program over to physical plant, we're taking that as a huge opportunity for us. And I've been working with the mechanical instructor, and as soon as the welding moves over there, I'll be working with the welding instructor. Our vision is to mentor with those kids, to allow them to job shadow with us. We have a wealth of knowledge in our employees, and I think that these kids that are feeling like going that direction in their life will get the opportunity to see what it's really like.
It was an enjoyment meeting with you tonight, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
On behalf of John Karoff, Mike Peterson, Doug Cheney, and myself, and our audience, and PATV that provide us with all this facility and all this help, we thank you very much. This show will be on, of course, our Education Channel 21, Monday and Saturday. Will be on PATV and YouTube. You can watch it tomorrow on YouTube. And we hope to see you again here. And thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me and letting me showcase our physical plant.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, have a very good evening.